Today is the 70th anniversary of Godzilla, and to celebrate this day, King of the Monsters 2021 commissioned a quick movie review on my Patreon for Godzilla Final Wars. This movie was released in 2004, which at the time was Godzilla's 50th anniversary, and this was the last Godzilla movie that Toho made until Shin Godzilla in 2016. So, what did I think about the movie? Well, the movie wastes no time. Right at the beginning of the film, we get Godzilla fighting the military, but this battle is short-lived as they succeed in burying Godzilla in the glacier. And this is where the movie's tone starts to come in. We have a very traditional Godzilla tone at the beginning of the movie, and then we cut to our human characters, and the music becomes very techno-y, and the colors are very saturated like we have entered a Michael Bay movie. There is just so much yellow. And then, we get this. Yeah, doesn't this just scream Godzilla to you? But we'll get into that later. In terms of the monster action, this movie goes all out, and we get tons and tons of monsters for Godzilla to fight. We have Rodan, Gigan, Anguirus, King Caesar, Kamacuras, this 8-legged freak, and even the 1998 American Godzilla. Yeah, they actually bring this wannabe Godzilla in, and the OG Godzilla easily destroys him without even trying. And I do mean destroy. OG Godzilla here annihilates him and leaves nothing left. Toho are practically like, yeah, send a message to your makers. They were clearly taking a jab at this Godzilla, and it's pretty obvious that they weren't happy with him. And I really do like how this movie really goes out of its way to bring in pretty much every monster from Godzilla's roster that they can. And all these monsters, they don't stand a chance against Godzilla. He takes them out in some creative and even hilarious ways. He even impales one of them as well. They just don't stand a chance. This is the strongest we have seen Godzilla, as he annihilates them round after round. And the action can be badass, but it can also really turn into a comedy when it wants to, as this is one of the more light-hearted Godzilla movies. We are a long way away from -1. There is some weird editing at one point. Godzilla fights a monster, and then in the next shot, he's suddenly in the jungle fighting a big spider. At this point, it's just fight scene after fight scene with different stages, like a video game. And bizarrely, I didn't mind this and really enjoyed it. And I will admit, it is funny to see this mastermind react like a baby whenever these monsters he keeps sending in fail to kill Godzilla. Jeez man, calm down. I don't think you can possibly look sillier. Unless... Now the practical effects in this movie were really good. They're clearly fake, but as always with these Toho Godzilla movies, that's part of the charm. We know these are models and guys in suits, but watching them is just so much fun. Now although the practical effects are great, the special effects leave a lot to be desired. I kid you not, but at times, the movie has CGI that is on par with stuff we get from content creators on YouTube. The editing is often really janky and abrupt, not to mention the cinematography and even the coloring of the footage looks so cheap at times too, to the point that you'd think this was made with the express intentions of being a short YouTube film. The practical destruction is the best effects of the movie. Everything else about the film is just meh. For one, you'll notice that I haven't talked about the story or characters. Well, let's get into them. And I warn you now, you'll need to sit down for this. If monsters weren't enough, we have martial arts fighting mutants. Yes, you heard me right, mutants, with their own task force. And then just when you think it can't get any weirder, we have aliens as well. Yeah, you'd think that all these monsters attacking would be enough, but no, we have aliens. We also have a disaster coming to Earth in the form of this meteor, as well as an alien invasion. Yeah, these aliens want to invade, and they have this elaborate plan to replace key people in positions of power who will carry out their plans. This movie also came out in 2004, so it heavily borrows from the Matrix craze. Only it was sort of wearing out at this point due to the sequels, and people were just getting tired of it. In fact, this whole section of the story goes on for so long that you wouldn't even know that this was a Godzilla movie if it wasn't for that opening action sequence. Now, you might be asking, what does this have to do with Godzilla? Well, not much. The only story connection this movie has with Godzilla is that the aliens control these monsters and get them to destroy the Earth, and the humans wake Godzilla up to fend them off. So this whole alien storyline is essentially an elaborate drawn-out excuse to get Godzilla to fight monsters. Forgive me, but I can't help but think there must have been a more simple way of doing that. This movie is 30% monsters and 70% this other cheap homemade science fiction movie. I mean, it's no wonder they gave us Godzilla at the very beginning because he doesn't show up for like the next hour. This honestly just felt like some random science fiction movie that they were making, and a producer was like, shit, no one's gonna watch this, what should we do? Oh, I know, let's tie it into that Godzilla film we're shooting. Of course, this is just speculation, but if you told me that story, I would believe you. And well, I liked 30% of it, the other 70% I didn't ask for and just felt like a waste of time.
Sorry, I'm a vegetarian.
Honestly, this whole alien storyline, I was willing to go with it at first, but around the time we hit the 1 hour and 8 minute mark, I just got fed up. The glimpses we have gotten of Godzilla and the other monsters up until this point were the best parts of the film, but they only had about 5 minutes of total screen time. The rest of the hour was setting up this completely different movie that was goofy fun at first, but then just became boring and irritable, because it just doesn't stop. When we finally do get to the monster action that we came here for, like I said earlier, it is awesome, but sadly, it doesn't feel like it's got a good enough split with the human scenes, and it felt like we had to sit through a lot of nonsense to get to the monsters. But Eric, you incredibly handsome devil, you shout at me from across the street, what about the human characters? Surely you cared about them when they died or sacrificed themselves, right?
You know, I was thinking about that, and the thing is, I really don't care.
Yeah, the characters in this felt super generic and uninteresting. Now, to be fair, for a bit I was invested in the main character, but even he started to test my patience as the film kept going. We also have this commander sporting the world's thickest mustache. And he has some badass moments, but still, I felt like a lot of these action sequences felt so dated, and not in a good way like the Godzilla sequences. But really, I couldn't care less about the characters. I was sticking with them at the beginning, but after a while, I was just counting the minutes, hoping it would cut back to Godzilla. And we also have a super over-the-top villain. Even his eyebrows are so over the top. And the only thing really memorable about him is the crazy faces he makes, and watching his baby tantrums whenever Godzilla would defeat his monsters. Oh, and there's also this father and son who just so happened to find Godzilla's son. So, might as well throw that in the movie. Yeah, this film is cluttered, and I really felt the length of it. When the movie was actually a Godzilla movie, I really enjoyed it, but whenever it became a Japanese Matrix meets Star Wars meets Mars Attacks alien invasion film, I was just waiting and hoping for it to cut back to the monsters. When the movie was about to be over, I was ready to give it a 5 out of 10. But then, something started to happen to Monster X who came from that meteor. It looked like he was mutating, and then you realize that he's transforming, and then out of nowhere, he turned into King Ghidorah. That surprised the heck out of me. And then we got a big battle between the two, and it was glorious. Ghidorah knocking Godzilla into buildings like a toy doll, Godzilla using Ghidorah's own blast to sever one of its heads. I was having an absolute blast, and it went back to giving me exactly what I wanted and expected from a Godzilla movie. And what a way for Toho to end the franchise on its anniversary, no less, with Godzilla fighting his most iconic foe. So thanks to that fantastic ending, my score did go up. My final score for Godzilla Final Wars is a 6 out of 10. And the ending, it was as moving as it was corny. It really is a shame that this movie was full of so much nonsense, but really, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed the Godzilla stuff in this movie. And when you take into account the 30 to 70% screen time difference between the monsters and the humans, mathematically, this movie should have gotten a much lower score from me. But the fact that it is this high shows just how much I loved the Godzilla stuff. And for that alone, I'm definitely glad I watched it. And well, the next Godzilla movie to release was Shin Godzilla, a movie I have still yet to see, but I am looking forward to it when I do. A big thanks again to King of the Monsters 2021 for commissioning this video. If you want to commission your own quick movie review or versus video, or even a quick TV show review, then head on over to my Patreon where you can commission any video you want. Thank you very much as always for watching, everyone. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and if you haven't, please do click that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all of my future videos. And I will catch all of you very soon. Take care.